I'm just saying, if you ever sell me as a droid, I better be worth at least 5,000 credits. Hello everybody and welcome to my review of Star Wars The Bad Batch episode 4, Cornered. For today's review, it's actually going to be a little bit shorter for two reasons. One, I'm actually still recovering from my second dose of the COVID vaccine, so I'm still kind of feverish and feeling off. So maybe that'll make for a more interesting review. You're going to get a fever dream, quite literally a fever dream of a review. But the second reason is this episode actually didn't leave me with a ton to talk about. It was a fairly kind of standard episode that I've seen kind of a bunch of times before, even within Star Wars. I feel like there was an episode of Rebels that was kind of similar to this, where we have the ragtag crew of people land on the planet, then the little kid one, the one that's sort of the most naive, wanders off, gets into trouble, and then they have to go and rescue her. Kind of exactly that standard stuff. There's a little bit of stuff within that adds a little bit of flavor and a cool appearance, a cool, I wouldn't say cameo, like an actual just guest appearance by another character from the Star Wars mythos that makes it really interesting. But overall, this is a fairly standard plot. Not done badly, but not extremely, exceptionally exciting or new or different in terms of plot. And it's, again, that's not a bad thing. It's just sort of like, yeah, this is a good episode of a show that doesn't knock my socks off in any way other than like a cool cameo character, which is kind of nice. But let's dive into it a little bit. Obviously, the Bad Batch crew lands on a planet because they need to scramble their signal because people are on the lookout for them, and Omega wants to go exploring. She's never been off Kamino, so she wants to go and see the world that's out there. I can show you the world, shining, shimmering empires, fascism as far as the eye can see. I don't know what that was. You got, again, fever dream. We're in a fever dream right now, everybody. But I did like this planet that they landed on. It had a sort of like India inspiration to it that I thought was like really, really cool. I always like seeing Star Wars planets that draw from different cultures. There's probably something to be said about like, cultural appropriation and stuff about that. But I don't know. I like that Star Wars, it always like has a diversity of cultures and planets that we see that are kind of in the background and aren't really drawn attention to within Star Wars. Like even in the movies, it kind of does that same thing, and the animated shows I think do a really wonderful job of just subtly kind of portraying that and showing how really diverse the galaxy is and sort of drawing upon real world cultures, and I thought that this one was just really, really kind of cool as sort of a background element to this episode. I also liked the little scenes of characterization that we got throughout the episode, like Wrecker and Tech trying to bribe the guy that they landed on the spaceport with, and just not really getting it and not really knowing what to do. It kind of highlighted that, number one, they're just odd in general, but also two, that they lived their whole lives as soldiers, as clones, like quite literally their entire lives. Like they were born as soldiers. So that was like kind of nice to see that they literally have no idea how to interact with civilian life. And that was kind of nice. And I almost wish that you could have seen a little bit more of that, maybe with Hunter in his dealings with trying to haggle with the shopkeeper and things like that. It would have been kind of nice to sort of see that. But I like the little highlighting of that scene here. Again, Wrecker, always my favorite character, like easily. The scene later on in the episode when he saves Omega and he just has the sweet tenderness to him. Like Wrecker is easily my favorite. I just adore the man so much. He is so cute and wonderful, and I just want to give him a big hug. And he also could probably smash my enemies, but the hug thing is probably important too. I also loved that they sold Echo as a droid to get money. So that's a clever conceit. Like, I like that Echo hid himself as a droid to hide that he has like stands out with his arm, and then he sort of got sold for money as a droid. I think that's kind of a little clever idea and a clever scheme that they got going on. That's something that I have not seen within the Star Wars universe. But this brings me to the biggest thing of this episode, in that we got a guest appearance by Ming-Na Wen's character from The Mandalorian, Fennec Shand. It was really, really cool to see her character show up as the bounty hunter hunting them down. If those of you who don't remember, she's the sort of bounty hunter that appears in season 1 of The Mandalorian, that the Mandalorian hunts down and tries to, and actually does kill, or presumably kills, and then she appears back up in season 2 as sort of like Boba Fett's right-hand woman. So it was nice to sort of see her earlier on in this time period, just sort of see her just going around doing bounty hunter stuff, because one of the sad things that I hated about, Mandalorian season 1, I'm sort of fixing my hair as I talk here, was the sort of waste of her character in that season. I was very disappointed that they just sort of got rid of her after one episode. I was glad that they brought her back for the second season of Mandalorian. And Ming-Na Wen, just in general, is just a great actress. I don't know if she was playing the character here, doing the voice for it, but she just has such a presence, and it was nice to see the character coming back to flesh that out. She's not doing anything particularly unique or interesting within that character. I mean, she didn't have ton of characterization within The Mandalorian either. So I'm hoping that she might be a recurring villain, and we get to see a little bit more fleshing out of her character going forward, because they've really set her up to be a villain, like a recurring villain within this series. So that was really cool to see, and I like seeing those little connective threads of this current like crop of shows within the Star Wars era. It's nice to sort of see where these people are at different points and sort of connecting them with the other eras and other sections of Star Wars. That I always like to see that sort of thing. But other than that, there wasn't really much more to say about this episode. Like I said, a fairly standard plot, really enjoyable. The droid section where Echo sort of escapes with the droids and sort of convinces them to fix the ship was like a fun little beat. Yeah, it was a good episode. It was super sweet, super nice, but ultimately kind of forgettable in the grand scheme of things, other than the fact that they brought a character from The Mandalorian into the show. But yeah, I'd like to hear all of your thoughts down in the comments below. Did you like this episode? Do you think I'm being too harsh on it, too kind to it? I'd love to hear all that down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to my main channel, Jessie Gender, where I do more video essay topics. But if you want my reviews, my nerddoms, my geeking out, that's all right here on this channel, Jessie Gender After Dark, and I have a Patreon page that can help support me at as well. But all that stuff is, extra and awesome if you do. But I just hope that you, as always, live long and stay sexy.